Gathering data. In order to perform any of the above analysis, we must first start with data. Statistics can be calculated by collecting data from either a population, which means absolutely everybody under consideration. That might be every student at this school, it might be every person in Australia, or a sample, which is where we only take a proportion of the population. Now, a population is the entire category, e.g. species of animal, brand of car, students in a school, or the entire population of Australia, or even of the world. To collect statistics about a population, we can use what's known as a census, which collects a variety of statistics about the entire population. So remember, census, entire population. Benefits of a census. Well, it should be accurate because we're taking statistics about the entire population, and that's probably the main benefit. It should be accurate. Drawbacks of a census. It can be time consuming, and because you're taking information about the entire population, it can be a very costly exercise. Now let's consider a sample. A sample is a small proportion of the population. It might be 1%, 5%, 10%, it may be a lot less than 1%. It just depends on what you're doing. To collect statistics for a sample, we use what's known as a poll, which only targets specific members of a population. So it's cheaper and less time consuming than a census, because we're only looking at a few rather than everybody. But the drawbacks is it's probably going to be less accurate because you're not looking at everybody. And there may also be something called bias, where you get too many of one thing. For example, if we did a sample of students at this school, we might end up with a lot more girls than boys, and that might lead to differing views with the questions that we're asking in our poll. Methods of sampling. There are 3 methods of sampling that you should be familiar with at this stage. There's actually a lot more types. Random sampling. Picking your sample at random. For example, by putting names in a hat or giving everyone a number and then picking numbers at random, which you could do using a random generator number, such as there's one on your calculator. Everyone must have the same chance of being selected, and that's really important. In a random sample, everyone has to have the same chance of being selected. Systematic sampling. Picking every nth person from a list of people, or a queue. For example, you might ask every 5th person that leaves the cinema, or every 20th person leaving a big event like a rock concert or something. Perhaps as people are coming through the door to assembly, so we could survey the school using systematic sampling by picking every 10th student that enters the hall. Stratified sampling, picking students that fairly represent the population. So if the population is half male and half female, and that will be the assumption in questions that you have, then your sample should be 2. So you might have 100 boys and 100 girls. So if you survey 6 of the boys, you must do the same with the girls.